Welcome, friend. I'm James, your host, and today, we're diving into another captivating episode. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and get ready for a powerful story that's sure to resonate. If something hits home, share your thoughts in the comments. Let's dive in. AITA for not allowing my daughter's grandfather to have a relationship with her? This is a wild ride. Grab your popcorn, folks. This is a tale of love, betrayal, and family drama that could easily be a soap opera plot. Buckle up, because I'm diving deep into a situation that's left me questioning my choices and, more importantly, my sanity. My husband and I have known each other for what feels like an eternity. Our relationship began in the sweet, innocent halls of high school. We were that couple everyone envied, the kind who could finish each other's sentences and dream about a perfect future together. Our bond felt unbreakable. We were first loves, first kisses, and first everything. We shared dreams of our future family, talked about where we would live, and even how many kids we wanted. After 6 blissful years of dating, we took the plunge and got engaged. Life seemed perfect, and I truly believed we would conquer the world together. But then came the twist that would turn our fairy tale upside down. He enlisted in the military. Suddenly, everything changed, and the world that once felt so safe began to feel like a battleground of emotions. In what I now see as a moment of sheer foolishness, I suggested we take a break while he was away, wanting to give him the freedom to sow his oats. At the time, I thought I was being selfless, but truthfully, I was just insecure. Deep down, I worried that he might grow to resent me later in life for being his only experience. I had never expected that a suggestion made out of love and care would set off a chain of events that would lead us both to heartache. He was hesitant but eventually agreed, partly because his father was in his ear, encouraging him to explore his options, cheat, even, while I sat on the sidelines, anxiously awaiting his return. I remember feeling like I was watching the clock tick slowly, counting down the days until he came back. My heart was torn. The idea of him being with someone else left me feeling hollow, but I thought I was doing the right thing for him. It felt as if I was offering him a ticket to freedom, but all I did was set the stage for chaos. It was a choice that would come back to haunt me, echoing in our lives for years to come. During our break, he ended up dating a girl who, after a few months of passionate rendezvous, got pregnant. The news hit me like a freight train. I had sacrificed my own feelings to give him space, only for him to create a new life without me. It felt surreal, like I was watching a movie unfold where I was the unwilling lead. He rushed into marriage, citing the need for military benefits and her deteriorating health during pregnancy. My heart ached as I scrolled through social media, seeing pictures of them as a couple, their smiles blinding and joyful, while I was left in the shadows, nursing my broken heart. I tried to respect their new life, keeping my distance for the sake of his family. My pride prevented me from begging him to reconsider. Instead, I forced myself to pretend that I was happy for him. But inside, it stung to know he was building a life without me while I sat alone, grappling with heartbreak and wondering what could have been. The distance felt insurmountable, and the silence between us was deafening. Each day became a battle against memories and dreams of what could have been, a struggle to move forward without looking back. Their marriage? A flaming wreck. It didn't take long for the cracks to show, thanks in part to his ex's volatile behavior and the constant pressure from his family. Their life together became a whirlwind of drama, filled with late-night screaming matches and gossip that reached my ears despite my best efforts to stay uninvolved. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. Every detail felt magnified, and every new piece of drama pierced my heart. 6 months after the divorce, out of the blue, he reached out to me. He offered condolences for a loss in my family, but it felt more like an invitation to rekindle what we had. The flames of our love ignited once more, and we decided to give it another shot. I should have been ecstatic, but instead, I was enveloped in a haze of confusion and unresolved feelings. The excitement of our reunion was quickly tainted by the specter of his past, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were stepping onto shaky ground. It was like dancing on a tightrope, balancing our rekindled love against the memories of betrayal and abandonment. I longed for the connection we once shared, but felt the weight of history pressing down on me, reminding me that the past is never truly gone. But, oh boy, the drama didn't stop there. His father and his new girlfriend got wind of our reconnection and decided to make it their mission to destroy us. They spread venomous rumors, painting me as the villain who had orchestrated his divorce. I was accused of breaking them up, attempting to replace his first child, and sabotaging their family dynamic. It felt like I was living in a twisted reality show where I was the undeserving antagonist. The whispers in the family reached a crescendo, and with every new rumor, my heart sank further. I felt as if I were trapped in a funhouse mirror, where every reflection twisted the truth into something unrecognizable. The very people who should have been supportive instead turned against me, and I found myself caught in a web of lies that threatened to suffocate me. Friends began to question my motives, and family gatherings felt like a minefield, each conversation fraught with underlying tension and suspicion. I was suddenly the topic of family discussions, my worthiness as a partner and mother questioned, leaving me feeling isolated in a crowd of people who once embraced me. When I finally got pregnant, we tied the knot, hoping to bury the past. But the rumors didn't just persist, they exploded. At 9 months pregnant, I was in the ICU for a kidney infection, and that's when the whispers became a roar. His family spread lies that I was hospitalized for an STD. The betrayal was palpable, cutting deeper than any knife. I felt invisible and utterly alone, even with my husband by my side, trying to shield me from the madness. Each rumor was like salt on a fresh wound, festering and growing, and I could feel the pressure building. I was terrified for my health and my unborn child while simultaneously grappling with the weight of this relentless judgment. The isolation was suffocating, and I found myself questioning everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and family. The hospital room felt like a prison, filled with sterile white walls and the beeping of machines, where my thoughts spiraled into an abyss of despair. It was supposed to be a time of joy, yet all I could think about was how quickly happiness had turned to turmoil. The walls felt like they were closing in, and I longed for the comfort of home, but instead, I was left to fight battles I never asked for. To make matters worse, my husband's father had always been absent during his marriage, ghosting him through the divorce and never once asking about our child after her birth. Instead, he hurled derogatory remarks my way, belittling my worth as a mother and a wife. It felt like a dagger in my heart. How could someone so toxic even think about being in our daughter's life? The very idea made my skin crawl, as if I was being asked to invite a wolf into our home to babysit a lamb. The weight of my husband's family's judgment bore down on me like a heavy cloak, and I knew I had to act. I wasn't about to let our daughter be subjected to the same dysfunction that had plagued us for so long. I wanted to create a safe space for her, free from the toxic influences that had tainted our lives. It was a battle I was ready to fight, knowing that the safety and well-being of my child were on the line. My resolve grew stronger with each passing day, and I found myself steeling my heart against the storm that was sure to come. So, one day, I finally drew the line. I told my husband that I didn't want his father around our little girl. It wasn't a decision I made lightly, it came from a place of deep-rooted hurt and the need to protect our daughter from that toxic legacy. I didn't want her to feel the weight of his disdain or to hear the whispers of negativity that have plagued our lives like a persistent shadow. It was a heart-wrenching decision, but I was driven by the fierce instinct to shield her from pain and disappointment. My husband understood my concerns, but the fallout was immediate and brutal. Family members became emboldened, demanding to know why I would deny our daughter the chance to know her grandfather. Suddenly, I was in the crosshairs of family politics, trying to defend my decision to people who seemed more invested in upholding family tradition than the mental health of their own blood. Their voices became a chorus of accusations, and I felt the walls closing in as I fought to justify my choices. It was exhausting, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was fighting not just for my daughter's safety, but also for my own peace of mind. Now I'm left in this tumultuous sea of emotions, feeling like the villain in my own story. It's a heavy burden to carry, knowing that my desire to protect my child has painted me as the antagonist in a narrative that I never wanted to be part of. I'm constantly questioning my choices, wondering if I'm making the right call or if I'm simply letting my past dictate my future. I keep replaying the same conversations in my mind, battling the doubt that creeps in like a thief in the night. What if I'm being too harsh? What if my daughter would benefit from knowing her grandfather, regardless of his faults? But then I remember the pain I endured, the hurtful comments, the dismissive attitude toward my struggles, and the absence that seemed to define his relationship with my husband. Every time I think about our daughter, my heart swells with love and protective instinct. She's this incredible little being, full of joy and innocence. I can't fathom exposing her to negativity that could taint her view of family. I envision her future, laughter, warmth, and unconditional love. I want her to grow up in an environment that nurtures her spirit, not one that feeds on drama and toxic relationships. My husband and I have fought hard to create a home filled with laughter and safety. I want her to have a childhood free from the shadows of family feuds and gossip, where her laughter rings out like music and her heart feels secure. The days turn into weeks, and the tension with my in-laws escalates. It seems like everywhere I turn, someone is weighing in, voicing their opinions on my decision. I find myself facing friends who once stood by me but now question my judgment. "Maybe you're overreacting," they say gently, their voices laced with concern. Each comment feels like a dagger, twisting deeper into my resolve. I want to scream, to tell them how I've fought to protect my daughter from the ghosts of the past, but instead, I nod and smile, swallowing my frustration. I know they mean well, but it's exhausting to justify my feelings to people who don't see the whole picture. It's as if they can't comprehend the weight of my decisions or the shadows that loom over my family. In the midst of this turmoil, my husband tries to be the peacemaker, navigating between his family and my steadfast resolve. I see the strain etched across his face, the tension in his shoulders as he juggles his desire to keep the peace with his family and his unwavering commitment to me and our daughter. He loves his father, and part of him wants to believe that reconciliation is possible. But I also see the flicker of understanding in his eyes, the recognition of the toxic patterns that have defined their relationship. We have conversations late into the night, our whispers filled with both hope and fear. "I just want what's best for our daughter," I tell him, tears welling up. "I don't want her to grow up thinking that's how families should treat each other." He nods, his hand gripping mine tightly as we grapple with the reality of our situation. As weeks turn into months, the divide seems to grow deeper. My husband's father ramps up the pressure, reaching out to him, insisting that we're denying him the chance to be a grandfather. "How can you keep your daughter from knowing me?" he says, his voice a mixture of indignation and hurt. It's painful to hear the man who once encouraged betrayal now act like a victim. I can't help but feel the irony of it all. It's as if he's forgotten his role in this chaotic story, the way he cast aside his son's feelings in favor of maintaining a facade of family unity. I watch my husband struggle, caught between loyalty and the growing realization that his father may not be the role model he thought he was. Then, one day, it happens. My daughter takes her first steps. It's a monumental moment, filled with joy and laughter, and I want to share it with the world. My husband and I cheer her on, our hearts swelling with pride as she stumbles toward us, her little arms outstretched. But even in that moment of pure bliss, the shadow of his father looms large. The thought flickers in my mind, what if he wants to be part of this? What if he shows up uninvited, insisting on his right to see her? The worry gnaws at me, and I feel the anxiety creep back in. I can't let that happen. I refuse to let the past intrude on this precious moment. After that day, I realize I need to take a stand. I call my husband into the living room and say, we need to set firm boundaries. I can't keep living in fear of what his father might do or say. I lay out my thoughts, my fears, and my love for our daughter. We talk long into the night, hashing out a plan, deciding that we need to have a serious conversation with his father. We agree that it's time to clearly communicate our feelings and our boundaries, to let him know that his toxic behavior has no place in our daughter's life. Finally, the day arrives when we're set to have that conversation. My heart races as we drive to his father's house. It feels like we're heading into battle, armed with our love and determination. As we walk into his home, I can feel the tension crackling in the air. My husband's father is seated in the living room, a scowl etched on his face as if he knows something is coming. I take a deep breath and steel myself, ready to confront the man who has caused us so much pain. "Dad, we need to talk," my husband begins, his voice steady but firm. "It's about our daughter." The conversation unfolds like a delicate dance, filled with tension and the weight of unspoken history. My husband explains our desire to protect our daughter from negativity and how his father's actions have impacted our family. He emphasizes that this isn't about shutting him out, it's about creating a safe space for our child. As I watch the exchange, I can feel my heart pounding, hoping that his father will finally understand. But instead, it's like hitting a brick wall. His father responds defensively, dismissing our concerns and insisting that he deserves a place in our daughter's life. The conversation quickly devolves into accusations and blame. "You think you're better than me?" he yells, his voice echoing in the small room. "You're keeping my granddaughter from knowing me." I can feel the anger rising in my chest, but I hold my ground. "This isn't about you," I interject, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "This is about her well-being. We can't allow toxicity to be a part of her life." The argument reaches a fever pitch, and I feel the walls closing in as we fight to be heard, but it's like speaking to a brick wall. His father is entrenched in his view, unwilling to acknowledge the damage he's done. After what feels like hours of back and forth, we finally decide to leave, exhausted and defeated. As we step outside, I feel a mixture of relief and sorrow. We've set our boundaries, but the reality of the situation weighs heavily on my heart. In the days that follow, the tension only escalates. Family members weigh in, some supporting us and others siding with my husband's father. The divide seems insurmountable, and I feel like I'm living in a pressure cooker, waiting for the next explosion. Conversations with friends become strained as they attempt to play peacemaker, trying to navigate the family drama without picking sides. My phone buzzes with messages, each one weighing heavier than the last, and I find myself retreating into the sanctuary of my home, seeking solace in the laughter of my daughter. Finally, I reach a breaking point. I turn to my husband and say, "I can't do this anymore. I need to protect our family, and if that means cutting ties with your father, then so be it." My voice trembles as the weight of my decision crashes down on me. It feels drastic, but the thought of our daughter being influenced by the toxicity of his family is unbearable. I can't let history repeat itself. My husband nods, a look of understanding in his eyes. "I want to protect our daughter too," he says quietly. "I just didn't know how to say it." The realization that we're on the same page fills me with a sense of relief. We're in this together, and together we will make the hard choices for the sake of our little girl. And so, we begin to implement our plan. We focus on building our own family unit, surrounding ourselves with positive influences and people who genuinely care about our well-being. Friends who uplift us and share in our joys become our chosen family, filling the void left by the toxic connections we've had to sever. We create traditions that reflect our values, celebrating milestones together and fostering an environment of love and support. As time passes, I realize that although the path we've chosen is difficult, it's also freeing. I watch my daughter grow, her laughter filling our home, her spirit untainted by the shadows of the past. Each day feels like a victory, and I find strength in knowing that we're shaping her future, one filled with joy, resilience, and love. The journey has been fraught with challenges, but it's also taught me the importance of standing firm in my convictions.